Okay, hello everybody. Sorry having a little bit of video issue, but it's all worked out. Um, I hope everybody's had a chance to look at Danielle Smith and Jordan Peterson's interview. It's a podcast on YouTube, hour and 40 minutes nearly long. I watched it through and through today. I have monumental amounts of shared links. It's been an explosion, everybody, of so much just in the last 24 hours. That's the break. Sometimes we get hit so hard. So I'm in my rental room now. I got roommates, one's homesick, so I'm giving everybody space. Here I am. Jordan Peterson made a huge revelation. He is a literarian. I mean, a master of words, definitions. He is articulate. He knows each and every word's legal composition, what it all means. He articulates himself very well. And he did that throughout the hour and 40 minutes. I took my time, take pieces of it, stop, look up things I didn't understand to make sure, as Jordan Peterson is narrating it and the comments he makes, that I'm getting it right, because I am not a literarian. I've come a very long way. I think anyone who's followed me for years, you'll see I've come a very long way. College graduate. I do have a degree, but it's in economics, so I'm more of math hands-on, do very well with that. But I'm learning, like we all learn through life, and we get better and better. And why this video is important is I have two questions for Dr. Jordan Peterson. And I think all of you can do this too, post the video, because one is really easy to look up. And Jordan Peterson takes from the Declaration of Human Rights, 1948. Civics is huge. It's huge in the United States. It's huge in many strong nations around the world. But what are civics? Well, folks, we have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Some of those do overlap. Some civics, others do overlap human rights, but there are many articulated and bound in 1948, including, which is a big thing for Jordan Peterson, the family unit as a fundamental building block of society, meaning you can't have a society without a strong family unit. This is the basis of civics, and you codify it in your respective countries. Well, folks, you could put down the video right now if you wanted to, and I could give you this challenge, and after the video, please do it. Type in, what are the civics of Canada? Do that on multiple search engines, and you're going to get absolutely nothing at all. And if you do click on the Government of Canada website, it's going to show you 3 levels of government. It's going to show you a whole list of federal powers, and not one, and I repeat, not one of their list are going to go into civics. Where are your civics? Where are your civil rights? Where are your enshrined rights in Canada? Well, folks, you have to dig extremely deep. You have to read so much, and you have to go into the Constitutional Act of Canada, 1867, each and every amendment, all the way consolidated to 1982 to get that answer. It is listed in powers of a province. We are a federalism. Civics, civil rights, your enshrined rights, are found listed clearly in Section 92. Well, what does that mean? Those are the powers of the provinces. Show me any Canadian, any first person, anybody, anywhere, show me where Canada in any province or territory has codified civics. Now, we have laws, international laws. Many nations have written those in, whether it's a state power like USA or others, or federal government has implemented across all states because they didn't codify it. We can look at the 60s. We can see the power of the federal government taking that and mandating it for all the states. But we don't find it in any way, shape, or form in the country called Canada, because it's a power of the provinces under Section 58 to implement a provincial constitution. This has existed forever and a day, this power, since 1867. It's never been repealed. It's never been pulled away. It's there. Your property rights, your water rights can go on, health, education, all kinds of stuff until you hit civics. Jordan Peterson clearly follows the Declaration of Human Rights, but he never gets into the fact that there are absolutely, forever and a day, no civics in Canada. You can't find any literature. You can't find anything because since day one, it's been locked away. It's with the provinces. With the provinces. More, the most exceptional part of the interview with Danielle Smith and Dr. Jordan Peterson was the idea of free market. Crown-powered systems like constitutional monarchies don't ever, in any history, have any real free markets. They never have. In fact, he goes on to say it's crony capitalism. We've all heard that term. Well, what is crony capitalism? It's when you have an autocratic government. It's high on the autocracy level. It's a square box, right, left. Well, there's libertarian down here, which Danielle Smith told Jordan Peterson, I'm a libertarian, I'm Premier of Alberta. Okay. You hold absolute crown autocratic power up here, meaning there's no rules of governance for you and your party or any oppositions. There's no how to govern, no rules of governance, and absolutely no accountability. In fact, there are no provincial constitutions or territorial constitutions ever written by any premier of any province or territory since absolutely 1867. There has never been one. It's called for. It's articulated in Section 58. No premier wants to do it. No, Daniel Smith sits there talking to Jordan Peterson, and he hits free markets. He says, listen, conservatives have a problem here. He tells everybody, I'm a classic liberal. That's what he says. And he goes on, he says, conservatives, to Daniel Smith, go into crony capitalism, which is, in his words, absolutely defined as fascism. Folks, Nazi Germany, fascism. Remember Italy, fascism. Remember Japan, World War II, fascism. In fact, we can go all the way through colonialism, and fascism is a staple. But what do all those nations entirely have in common as fascist regimes? They were all monarchies. Did you hear that? They were all monarchies. We don't get into that. Jordan Peterson stops dead in his tracks right there, waiting for Daniel Smith to answer. Now, I looked up all his words. I put it all together. It makes sense to me. It's most of the work I'm doing. It was a strong acknowledgement, but they didn't go on to tell you the rest of the tale of the tape. They act like somehow that's just some kind of weird coincidence, that socialism, divine socialism, and fascism that was present in all constitutional monarchies through colonialism is somehow not what Canada is, even though were a codified constitutional monarchy. In fact, Canadians, 1867, the model of Canada after the British Empire, who was at the height in 1867, the most powerful colonial nation in the entire world. They would go on, League of Nations, they ran it all. They hit a roadblock called World War I. Things changed. We saw colonial wars. Colonial Germany, who came after Canada, they said, hey, that's a great idea. I want it too. Japan, great idea. I'm going to go to British Columbia. I'm going to send envoys and I'm going to learn the constitutional monarchy called Canada. They subjugate the First Peoples. They slave the masses in first, second, third class. I want to know how to do that. And they did. You can look. Doesn't matter. We can go through all of them. South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, all modeled after Canada. You won't find anybody who will tell you otherwise on constitutions codified, how old they are and how in order they go. Canada was a design codified through the British Empire, who doesn't even codify their own. They keep their crown elusive, customary, secretive. Canada does too. They have a power through Privy Council, but they codified a design, taking the central government power, full-on autocratic authority, did it in a federalism, but this secret backdoor crown power is there, transferred now to our politicians, and nobody sees a problem with this. We're never to address it, and we're never to learn any civics. Do you think the problems with society today have anything to do with the reality that we have no civics, that we have no property rights codified, we have no water rights codified? Is there any reason why First Peoples have water problems? And everyone says, oh, that's their own problem. We don't allow them to tax. We've stripped them of any powers associated with provinces, meaning the division of powers. First Peoples get none. They're put on reserves. They can't tax. They can't set up anything more than a municipal councillor effect. They don't get any powers of the province bestowed on them or utilized for them. It's all through the federal crown, which means Section 92 all the way to 144 are absolutely removed from all the First Peoples, defined as savages. Indian Act 1876. This build, this super successful build for Canada, they say it's very stable to have subjects and savages. Germany said so too. Look how strong they got in their 7-year reign. South Africa, and its more than 40-year reign. Other countries, we can go through all of them. Japan grew and built on that system. It led to World War II. We're lucky Russia and USA and China found the might, largely Russia and USA, of course. We're lucky they were able to topple it. Things would be very different today. But I asked Jordan Peterson if he ever sees this video, if he ever looks at it. He has a big following, but I asked these two questions. Where do you find civics in any Canadian literature? Show me. I would love to see those links. I'd love to see those books. And as well, too, why do you not address the crown? Clearly articulated and codified in Canada's highest laws. Why do we stop at socialism and fascism in one model and say, well, yeah, it is. Crony capitalism is fascism. And yes, we have this divine socialism. And yes, state centralization. Well, those are all the monarchy powers. Absolutely defined. It was one of the worst periods of history. Obviously, World War I and II. Why do we stop for Canada there? How can we never highlight the crown? That is the highlight of all these other tragic tales of the tape in world history. It had to be abolished. Why does Canada stay that way? And We admit to the same fundamental definitions defining it, but we don't go forward and say, this is the crown, this is the fundamental design flaw of the country. Why are we not going to rid ourselves of that crown power? Why are we not going to do we the people constitutionalism like much of the world today? Our neighbors down south, even the Russian Federation north. Why are we different? Why is it a system that works here but nowhere else in history? It's because it doesn't work here. They fly under the radar. The crony capitalism, the divine socialism. People say, oh, it's communism. Oh, it's, yeah, that's kind of a fascism. And people narrate that in studies all over. But we as Canadians with no civics, no way out of this, saying that our society is going to keep getting worse because we have no civics. We have no codified, defined civics to make a functional society. When do we change it? I want to hear from Jordan Peterson. I want him to show the literary works that back up Canada having any kind of real civics. I've never found any, and I don't think any of you can find any either, besides the idea that we're to codify them provincially, but we never have. 150 years. That's my video. Share, share, share. Huge truth. You can all check it out yourself. There is no free market when you have the crown and the colonials and the economics sitting the way it is, conservative or liberal, crony capitalism or divine socialism. They are the same thing. Same thing. It's always been that way for monarchies, forever and a day. It's why largely they're eradicated in the world. UK survives on its vast network of constitutional monarchies in the Commonwealth of Nations. You guys went through environmentalism and the destructive force of it. Where does that come from? Oh yeah, the Commonwealth. King Charles Rex, King of Kings Rex the Third, and that's normal too? I don't think so. I think we have a long way to go, and I still don't trust conservatives. I don't see Danielle Smith ever doing what needs to be done. I would love for her to do that in this time she has remaining. You have months, you could start the process, but history shows anything, and like I've said, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. It's the story of Canada. Election cycle after election cycle, no premier wants to lose their divine autocratic crown power. No rules of governance, no rules on how to govern, and absolutely no accountability. We want civics, we want property rights, we want water rights, and so much more that Canadians have never had. That's how it's done. It's listed there forever and a day. But everyone who gets elected says, I need this for me. I need it for my insiders. I'll make them rich. They'll make me rich. Right to the back pocket. And that's how it goes. Crony capitalism? Absolutely. Fascism? Absolutely. On the spin side, divine socialism? Absolutely. Is there any difference up here? Libertarian down here, full autocracy up here. Does it matter which spectrum you're on at that point? When you're subjugated, when they get to do whatever they want at your expense? That's happening. And we can say, hey, it's a vast country. We got lots of time. Oh, it'll work itself out. Oh, who cares? We don't need all these things. Well, the cost of living just grows. Things get harder and harder for those subjects and those savages, and it will only get worse. That is history. Thanks. Share, share, share. Get it out there. I know.